su casa. Oh baby, when you talk like that, you make a woman go mad. So be wise and keep on reading the signs of my body. I'm on tonight, you know my hips don't lie. I'm starting to feel the type of the attraction, attention. Can't you see, baby, this is perfection. Then I'm on tonight, you know my hips don't lie. I'm starting to feel your boy, baby, let's go real slow. See, baby, see, it's perfecto. Hey, girl, I can see your body moving, and it's driving me crazy. And I didn't have the slightest idea until I saw you dancing. And when you move up on the dance floor, nobody can let it go. The way you move your body, girl, and everything's so unexpected. The way you right and left it, so you can keep on shaking it. Never really knew that she could dance like this. She make a man when he speaks Spanish. Como se llama? Bonita, tu casa, su casa. Oh baby, when you talk like that, you make a woman go mad. So be wise and keep on reading the signs of my body. I'm on tonight, you know my hips don't lie. I'm starting to feel the tide of the attraction, attention. Can't you see, baby, this is perfection. Then I'm on tonight, you know my hips don't lie. I'm starting to feel you, boy, baby, let's go real slow. See, baby, see, it's perfecto. Oh boy, I can see your body moving, half animal, half man. I don't really know what I'm doing, just seem to have a plan. My will, self-restraint, have begun to fail now. See him moving, but I can't see you. That's a bit too hard to explain. Baila calle, de noche, baila calle, de sí. Baila calle, de noche, baila calle. They never really knew that she could dance like this. She make a man wanna speak Spanish. Como se llama? Bonita, tu casa, su casa. Oh baby, when you talk like that, you know you got me hypnotized. So be wise and keep on reading the signs of my body. Señorita, feel like all mine. Let me see you move like you come from Colombia. Mira, en Barranquilla se baila así. Sing it, en Barranquilla se baila así. So sexy, you're a fantasy, a refugee. I be back like the foodies from a third world country. I go back like a pot carrying crates to Humpty Hump. Really the whole club chasing new odyssey. I ain't wanna watch with Colombians and Haitians. I ain't guilty, it's a musical transaction. One more is a bun, and we do we snatch rope refugees from the seas, cause we own our own boats. I'm on tonight, you know my hips don't lie. I'm starting to feel the tide of the attraction, attention. Can't you see, baby, this is perfection. Then I'm on tonight, you know my hips don't lie. I'm starting to feel you, boy, baby, let's go real slow. See, baby, see, it's perfecto. Hello everyone. So as you can see today, I have Jeffery running, and so I just wanted to start that off with a little more high pace than normal, and you can see that Jeffery is still spinning in the corner. This is due to the fact that the decisions based off of this specific environment are not necessarily as advanced as they could be, and it also has a little bit to play with off the fact that he can only see that food pellet every once in a while, so the decisions are switching back and forth, and you'll see that when he resets that the light might be flickering due to the fact that he is switching between the decisions based off of the food pellet being there and it not being there. So right now he doesn't have the light on because he's charging. That's actually a decently smart decision. So in the situations where the battery is fairly low, Jeffery does not use any of his power because he does not want to lose out on the points that are gained from charging. I actually saw that Jeffery was firing the gun to keep him on the border between one level of charging and the next, and that was interesting because it was actually keeping him in the range where he was charging and getting more points for charging a lot, as opposed to getting slightly less points for being more having a higher charge. This was a unexpected side effect of having a higher reward for having less battery while in the light. I was expecting this to encourage more long trips, but at the same time also encourage getting back to this lit area so that he can charge back up. So here we are seeing the flickering light, as I was saying. This is interesting because he doesn't have the radar on at the moment, so he is making decisions based off of whether he can see the food pellet at all or if it's not there. So it's switching between an environment where it's just a rock he can see and a food pellet he can see sometimes. With the radar on, he would know that the food pellet he would know that there is something where the food pellet is at all times, but in the times where it is visible, the food pellet, he would know that it was a food pellet. I have not seen Jeffery make any specific decisions that would involve an association with what food pellets do for him. I don't think he has run into them enough randomly to make this a association. So I have been watching him for a large portion of the time, but I can't watch all of the time, obviously, so that's what I wanted to do here. I want to try and get different environments and see what happens. So we've seen this environment cycle go through once already, so I want to exit out and see if we can get a new environment. And you may be wondering why I have this small window for the picture. If you know anything about the data size of video, the more movement in a window, the bigger the data size, because of some things having to do with how the video file is handled when there is more. It has to do with how the frames are handled when there's more movement. So a video file can be shrunk down to a lower data cap if it doesn't have to change as many pixels as if the entire screen was moving. Then it might cause something to freeze up. This is what is done with YouTube and with streams. So if you see something in the stream and I'm moving and it's a little boxy, and so you're seeing a little bit of the last frame, this is an error that occurred because there was too much movement. So this is why I'm keeping it a small window, so that I can have Jeffery running smoothly without any difficulties. Although I still haven't gotten the situation to where I can have the AI running at the same time as the stream. I don't think this problem will be resolved until I upgrade to a more powerful machine, which I hope to do in possibly the next month or so. So Jeffery will continue to learn at the pace that he is learning, assuming that I don't make some astonishing breakthrough in the speed at which the AI learns. There are still some errors that are occurring with the AI, and I hope to, in the next week or so, sit down and attempt to knock some more of those errors out. Like I had said in previous streams, I have cleaned up the program enough to where most of the time it will run for a long period of time, even while I'm out of the room. So this means I don't have to sit there and keep restarting it. And it also allows Jeffrey to sit in one environment for a extended period of time and begin the learning process on that environment, to make it so that he can make a more intelligent decision in that environment or move to another environment. Like I said in a little bit earlier, I'm going to let this environment go through a cycle, and then I will restart Jeffrey and see if we can get a different environment and see what happens. Over the last few days since the Saturday stream, I have seen a lot more exploration by Jeffrey, and you can see he just moved. By that I mean he has explored much further than the light. This has all been random movement, so it was not a intuitive decision based off of the environment to move away from the light, but it was more of a decision based off of the environment to move, and he just happened to be facing out of this corner at the time. And here we go, so he's starting to move, but then when the food pellet comes into play there, he can then see that there are now 2 food pellets he knows about, and a third one which is flickering between known and unknown. This is nice because now we're getting a new environment without me having to restart it, and this is what I would hope would eventually happen once he is better at maneuvering around and not getting stuck in these cycles of spinning around. So we will continue to watch, and we can even continue to watch this specific environment, because it's possible that he will move at a different angle next time and possibly go out into no man's land out beyond the light. But this also does prove that Jeffrey is receiving the information when the food pellet is in his little flashlight area. So that means that when it creates a new environmental state when Jeffrey knows what is near him. Although, like I said, he has not made an association with those different objects. He is at least receiving the information, so the potential is there. So like I said, Jeffrey has been a little bit more adventurous. He has, so when I say adventurous, if he gets pointed out and then goes straight, he will keep going even if the environment changes, unless it changes to something he has not specifically seen before. So it is more of a health battery level situation than a environmentally changing situation, which is nice because it allows that decision. It means that that decision is something that is transcending the conditional environment. So he knows that when he has enough health and enough battery, he can go forward, and when he goes forward, it just happens that sometimes he goes out into the nothingness. So, and when I say nothingness, there is stuff there. It is important that he makes these explorations, because eventually, especially, it's a little harder to explain when he gets something as nice as this environment where there's 3 food pellets right in front of him, but eventually he will need to go gain his health back, because the health slowly deteriorates over time. So in order to survive, he will need to constantly find these food pellets and consume them, and they teleport to a new area each time he consumes it. So it will, there's a random possibility that it could pop up in the spot in the light here after he eats one, but that is fairly random. So now we are seeing a second cycle of this environment. I will let it pan out to see if anything different happens, but if he gets stuck in that same environment with the 2 known food pellets and the 1 flickering, I will restart it just so we can see new environments. If you follow me on Twitter, you will know that Jeffrey was recently attacked by an enemy for the first time. So that means he made it at least 1,000 blocks away from 1,000 blocks, 1,000 pixels away from this light source down in the corner. And so then an enemy attacked him. Obviously he has not seen anything to do with enemies, so he made no decisions based off of that. There is a possibility that in the simulation an enemy could have arisen, because when there is an unknown, then I have set it to act as a random type, and then based in the short time that the simulation is running, that if it was selected to be an enemy, it could have attacked him. But that would somewhat change the decisions. But odds are, if the enemy if it was an unknown, then it was not too close to Jeffrey, or the flashlight was not on. So it will take some time for him to learn the danger of being that far away and the proper use of his gun, as opposed to spinning around in circles and shooting at the wall. I'm just going to check to see if there's any comments in the chat. I'm not seeing any at the moment, so I will keep going. So like I said on Saturday, I recently went to the Makers Fair, or Makers Showcase, by the ASME Club on campus here at UCF. That's American Society of Mechanical Engineering. I am not personally a member of ASME, but I received an email from them about this showcase, so I decided that I would go show off this AI that I've been designing. And I was mainly showcasing the ball drop project, just because Jeffrey here has a little bit too many problems, and the hive mind project is a little less spectacular of a success to show off. So I had the ball drop program, specifically the running that I have been running on the Saturday streams. So you will see on the next Saturday stream that the ball drop program is a little bit further on than it was. That project is a little bit further on than it was when the last Saturday stream finished. But no significant changes were occurred. I don't think that it improved the best or second best program in that time. It just, I believe the stuck value went up from a single digit number to in the 20s. So over that course of 2 hours that I was at the Makers Showcase, not much progress was achieved, but at the same time there was I wanted to showcase the AI and how successful the AI is at learning a task. So Jeffrey is obviously learning somewhat slower than the ball drop program would be, but in a sense it should be fairly proportional to size, because I looked up the number before I started the stream here. Jeffrey has now associated 239 different situations. So now whenever Jeffrey gets into one of those situations, then the actual AI behind the project begins learning on that specific situation. And to get the same amount of time spent on each one of those situations is a massive amount more time than it would need to just learn one task like the ball drop is learning. Also, this program has, I believe, 407 inputs, if I'm not mistaken, and 5 output. No, Okay, so let's see, there's the flashlight, the radar, the sprint, the gun, and 3 options for movement, but there would only be 1 variable for that. So 5 possible outputs. So that is a total of 412 variables to worry about, whereas the ball drop program only has the 2 coordinates of the 2 x and y coordinates of the 2 ends of the string, and then the x and y coordinates for the red ball. So those are 6 variables, and then a output variable for each of the ends of the string. So that would be 8 variables in total. So 8 versus 412 variables, you would understand that it would take a little bit longer for Jeffery to learn this game, for the AI to learn this game, as opposed to even just one instinct, as opposed to the ball drop program. Now, that also means that this program can be much more dynamic in its decision-making process, which is what really excites me, because I have no idea what combination of decisions Jeffery will decide to make over the course of his survival in this environment. So this environment has gone a couple rounds. I'm going to switch it out and see if we can get a new environment and see what happens. So now here's a null environment. There's no objects he can see. We will see what goes on, and you'll see that he's just going straight to start off and has no other options. I don't know if the sprint is on. I couldn't tell how fast he was going when he ran into the wall fairly quickly, but we will see what happens as the health drops here. He's not shooting his gun, which is different from what I've seen in the past, but I guess I haven't seen him in a no object environment that often. So I don't have too much more to talk about in terms of changes and updates. I haven't been able to attack any more of the errors that have been happening. I'm not really sure what could be causing the errors. I'm trying to isolate the situations that they occur in. I know that there are problems with the child program, which is the driver program for the AI's simulation. So the child program is reading in the outlines and the instructions that are randomized at the children of the generation, I guess you could say. Oh, and so Jeffery just turned on his light. I'm not sure if he's still moving forward, but we wouldn't be able to tell with him against the wall. So the child program, like I said in the past, is the program that actually tests the fitness of the children that the parent program creates. So the child program is reading in those text files, and the error is occurring because the child program is somehow reading all of the data in the text file and continuing to read and hitting the character that I have associated for the end of a file and attempting to apply it as a number. And so that would obviously cause a problem if it's expecting a number and it gets the word end. Then it would not be able to do anything with that. It would cause a lot of errors, which is why the program is continuing to crash. I could do my quick fix of just putting the program to try again, because I'm not sure if it's a glitch with how my computer is handling it, or if there's actually a glitch in the code, which is why I want to take my time with this, because if it is a glitch in the code, that means that Jeffery's simulation is not up to par with what I'm expecting. Because if Jeffery is reading in the wrong numbers at the wrong time, if the AI is reading in the wrong numbers at the wrong time, then it will make the wrong associations with the environment, and then therefore output the wrong decisions to Jeffery. But the child program and the driver program are fairly identical, so if the error is occurring in the child program, then that same error should occur in the driver program. But what I believe is happening is that the child program, if it has these errors, then the situations and decisions that cause those errors never propagate into actual instincts. So I will have to look into what it could be causing those errors, because those instincts could be beneficial to the overall progress of learning for Jeffrey here. So like I said, I don't have too much more to say. I think I'll just sit here and we can watch what Jeffrey does for a couple more minutes, and then I will sign off. And I plan to stream again Saturday. I know I've been a little bit on and off with those, and I don't mean to be, it's just a scheduling thing. So I plan to stay fairly consistent with that in the weeks to come. So I will grab my guitar and play a little bit for you guys while Jeffrey sits here and runs into a wall. There's actually a song, it's I don't know if any of you have seen How to Train Your Dragon 2. My girlfriend is obsessed with it, so for her I tabbed out the one of the shorter songs on guitar, so I'll try and play it. I will warn you, it's a little difficult to translate symphony music into a guitar, so it doesn't sound the cleanest, but I will attempt. So. This is the hard part. Jeffrey is continuing to run into a wall in this environment, so I will attempt to pull up that is the same environment. I'm going to try and get one more unique environment to show you guys, And alright, so there's one food pellet. He's still running into the wall, but you can see, oh, so now he's making some movements. You can see that he's making decisions based off of that flickering rock. So he was, I believe, turning on and off the radar, which seems to be what happened. And now he can see two food pellets. Well, he can't see that food pellet out there, but now he has changed what he is doing. I'm not sure what exactly changed in the environment, because since that one food pellet at the top of the screen is out in the area where the light is not, he should not be able to read that. So I believe it might have been simply because he changed his well, it could be based off of where he is. I don't know if any decisions have been made based off of a specific coordinate grid, but it could be simply that now he has slightly less health, so he's making decisions based off of that. I was considering, and I will almost definitely do this in the future, I just don't know how soon. I'm considering making a program specifically for this project that will be able to take an instinct and read it and print out a verbal or a actual sentence form of what decisions are being made. So possibly the decisions in a sentence form. So if there are two rocks, then do this, and so whatnot. So I think that would be an interesting thing to see, because there are only a possibility of 10 decisions in each instinct. So if I knew what instinct was being run, I could see what the decisions are and see if they make sense in terms of intelligence. So now Jeffrey has the radar on, now that his health has dropped a little bit more, and he can see that food pellet out there. So now it is technically a new environment, because there is one definite unknown, and it is flickering between a rock and having a second unknown. So we will see if any decisions happen as he gets closer and closer to starvation. And I would not keep your hopes up for anything too spectacular, but it is possible that he could go running out into the environment. And so that's what I'm hoping for, because I've been seeing it a lot, but I haven't seen this specific environment too often. So I will be as surprised as you, I guess. I find it interesting. It might be a minor glitch in my coding here, that Jeffrey has started making a new decision, although the radar is still claiming that that one specific block is unknown. This could be simply that I have made an error in terms of putting greater than or less than in one instance and less than or equal to in another instance. So that would just simply be a glitch in the visualization, but the actual information that Jeffrey is receiving should still be valid. Now you can see that he has not made an association with the event of losing battery all the way to 0, because he continues to move around, to stay out in no man's land. This is because it is difficult and fairly random for Jeffery to move out into no man's land. So the situations where the battery dies are fairly low. I don't believe that any new decisions will be made in this running, so when Jeffery resets here, I will sign off of the stream. I've been running for about 30 minutes, but I will continue to jam, I guess. Sometimes I feel like I don't have a partner. Sometimes I feel like my only friend is the city I live in, the city of danger. Lonely as I am, together we cry. Never wanna feel like I did that day and take me to the place I love. Take me all the way. I never wanna feel like I did that day and take me to the place I love. Take me all the way. And with perfect timing, the driver has crashed upon Jeffery eating a piece of food. Now that may be something I need to consider into the association, but at the time being I do not know if that is the exact cause of crashing, although I can assure you that it is not the only cause of crashing, if it is a cause at all. So for now I will just be signing off, and I will thank you for coming out and watching. If you're watching later on YouTube, I implore you to subscribe and to tell your friends. I'm trying to gain a community here so that I can get some feedback in real time on the streams and possibly answer some questions that I was not considering. At the same time, I also want to learn from you guys, because I am not at all an expert in coding, and I may know a little bit more than the average person, but I definitely would enjoy a conversation or two to expand my horizons and my knowledge in that in any topic for that matter. So I want to again thank you guys for watching, and I will be signing off. So I will see you on Saturday.